Hello, welcome to Bonfires and Castles, as well as Celtic Nations magazine. This is Tiffany Apan, and I am here with the lovely Rebekah Lawson. You recently had me on your radio show, Celtic Rain, which we're going to be talking about here in just a moment. However, how about just begin with introducing yourself and just explain a little bit of what it is you do.
Sure. Yeah. So I am Rebekah Lawson, and I do all sorts of things. It's kind of funny. I am a mom and a musician, but I'm also a minister, and I am transferring my ordination right now to the MCC Church, which is Metropolitan Community Church. So I'm kind of in the process of that right now. Cool. But I've been ministering for about 7 years as an ordained minister. But then I also, obviously, I have a group called Celtic Rain, which is our Celtic we do original Celtic music. We also do older Celtic music, and we do modern Celtic music as well, which is quite nice. But then I have 2 other groups that I do the business for those groups and Celtic Rain, and I also sing and write music for the other 2 groups as well. So the Lute the Lady, which is a Ren Fair group, and then I also sing with a group called Philadelphia Phil and Friends, and I also sing with a group that's called Gentle Rain, which is our jazz and blues group. On top of all of that, which in and of itself gives people like migraines thinking about all the stuff I do, and I get it. But when you're a hyper person, this is what happens. You get into all sorts of beautiful things. So I also do the Celtic Rain Radio Show, which is where I had you on. And that, it was so much fun. Yes. But we go and I interview a small label or independent artist every single Tuesday night from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern time. And I play small label independent artist music. As long as it's family friendly, I put it on all genres. And it's kind of funny because like it's hilarious. I'll have like a thrash metal song, and then like right after I thought, okay, well, people's ears need a little bit of a break. So, and then there'll be like this classical tune, and then it's really interesting because people when I started talking about it in the beginning, they're like, I'm not sure if that's going to work. And it totally works because what I've noticed is that small label independent artists, they don't have the money behind them that they need to get their music out there.
Right. Yeah.
To get their music played. Yeah. It's a big, hilarious business that is just a little ridiculous, if you ask me, to get your music out there and to actually be able to have it said on the radio, and you're like, okay, this is, so I thought, well, let's create a space where where they can be played. And I had this idea about 5 or 6 years ago now. And this last February, I started putting out actually, it was more like January. I put out feelers. Would you guys be interested in this? Send me music. And I got inundated. Just so much music started coming my direction. And I was like, this is insane. So I was like, okay, obviously, and this is right. And it was, of course, right during February happened, and then March happened, and that's when everything shut down.
Of course,
and everybody just started sending stuff. They're like, well, we're not performing, might as well get our music out there somehow.
Right.
And
exactly.
it has
had to get
been
creative in that time.
Amazing.
So
and then through that, I every 3 months I put out feelers. Hey guys, send me music if you want, through Facebook and the different groups that I'm in. And that's where I met Celtic Nation magazine.
Yes.
And we started working together. And I write for them articles here and there, and then I talk about our show on their website. but yeah, no, and so now I'm syndicated through it's Celtic Rock Radio, which is their radio station. And then I have a gentleman who just contacted me and asked if he could play the show on his local TV station.
Ooh, congratulations.
So I thought,
that's
thanks.
awesome. Yeah,
I know. So I'm hoping within the next, I've got a 5-year plan. I got a 5-year plan. 5 years, I would like to have anywhere from 10 to 20 syndications and then really get that thing out there, because that just means that more people's music is getting out there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you want, that's awesome that you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that your radio station is really like taking off as, the way it is, like not just for you, but also the other artists as well that you feature.
Yes.
So, we both write for Celtic. We're both involved with Celtic Nations magazine too.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's how we met or not, but I meet so many people. Sometimes I'm just kind of like, okay, how do we meet again?
Yeah, it was through that actually.
It was through that. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So cool. Now, with your band, Celtic Rain, for which, your radio station's named after. Yeah. So how did you guys come to be?
Oh my gosh. So me and my husband, okay. So it's hilarious. The bands that we have are me and my husband and another guy.
Right.
And then there's another band, me and my husband and another guy. Yes. And they're different guys, but it's hilarious. It's always another guy or another person or, it cracks me up. Anyways, but so me and my husband and another guy.
Your husband and another guy. I love it.
Yeah. Me and Samuel started playing music, obviously, before we got married. Okay. And we did a Christmas album just to see if we could work together, right? And that was like a test to see if we could work together. Okay, we could probably get married. We'd be fine, because you just have to. 2 musicians, you have to see if, you're compatible even, because, there's stuff. And so, yeah. And so it was great. And in the beginning, we started doing jazz and blues to kind of, because that was a good middle ground. Well, we started doing Celtic music because Samuel is Scottish heritage and I'm Welsh heritage. Okay. And it was a no-brainer. It was just like, okay, yeah, this is in us. And we started, we actually were part of the Scottish Society of Indianapolis. And I was on the board and it was all these things. I was their youth director for a while. And then I became president of it. And so it was like all these things. And they started the Scottish Highland Games, and I was on the board for that to help start that. And they were like, we need a band to like do Christmas programs and stuff. And so we actually started as the house band for the Scottish Society of Indianapolis. Okay, yeah. We had several other people that were with us at that point in time. And through just time and situations, people fall off, people come back. It's just the way bands work. Yeah. But our piper, Jeff Keston, was playing the pipes in the St. Patrick's Day parade with us for the Scottish Society. Okay. And we're like, hey, we have a gig right after this parade. Do you want to come and play with us? Literally right after the parade. And he's like, sure. So I was like, so we brought him along and he came and played the gig with us, like every third song he'd play a pipe tune kind of thing. And I was like, I looked at him after and I said, you're mine. And I was like, you're in Celtic Rain for the rest of your life. And he's like,
whether you like it or not,
Yeah, whether you like. And he was like, sure. And so he has been with us now for about 12 years. So Celtic Rain's been around for about 15 years if you go back to its inception. But 12 years is about when we started playing, like, not just at the Scottish Society. Okay. Yeah. And getting really serious about it. And then we've made several CDs with that group. And then we made several CDs outside that group, with other things. But that group itself has just blossomed within, I think, the last 5 years. It really took off. Right before COVID. Okay. We were scheduled to play as one of the headliners downtown for St. Patrick's Day for one of the big places downtown. And it was just like, then of course, everything shut down 2 days before St. Patrick's Day. And I think we probably lost about $15,000 just in that weekend alone.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
It's crazy to think about, but it was kind of scary. But we kept, I started the Celtic Rain Radio Show. And on top of that, we did once a month concerts in-house for live concerts for Facebook and the YouTube and that. And what that, it really kept. And we said, hey, here's our tip jar. It's, it's the PayPal.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, people gave. It was amazing to see. And we were getting, just watching on those platforms live, we were getting 500-600 people. And I was like, okay, all right, this is bigger than I thought it was. We can,
absolutely,
we can sustain this. This is going to be okay. And since COVID kind of restrictions let up, we've been vaccinated and boosted and made sure that, masks and all that great jazz. But at the same time, when we could perform, we went back out and performed, and it was like, okay, let's get out there. Let's do this music thing.
Right.
Let's do it right. Now we're behind like, I don't know, a good 6 foot of instruments. It's ridiculous. We have our bubble, but, but and so we got some regular gigs that are around Indianapolis, and then started booking other things as well. And that's what I do. I do the business of that and book us different places. Cool. Yeah. So that group's been around for a while. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Cause, I totally can relate with like how, once like everything got shut down, it's like, you lost all your gigs and, you
oh my God,
lost a lot of revenue. So it's like, you had to be really creative. And, I did a couple of live streams on like Facebook and Instagram Live and all that. And, and that's how I also started my tavern live stream, kind of slowly came to be. I mean, it just started with me going live like every Friday. I mean, because like, we couldn't go anywhere. So like, what else were you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Me going live like every Friday, just, from my living room, whether it was me demonstrating, playing my Bowron or, doing something like that. And then I started having other people on too. So then it just kind of like, I don't know, one day I guess I just had the way it came to be. The tavern live stream was so random because I just had like, I think just like a mug of tea or something. And I just randomly on a live stream just went like, cheers from, I guess, my little tavern here, and I was just like, why not just call these the tavern live stream, So people responded to it. So I figured, hey, I'm just going to continue to go with it. It totally fits with what I do. So why not just call it that? So,
absolutely.
And I do live streaming. I've also I'm starting to do like pre-recorded, interviews as well, too, for my, my own Bonfires and Castles, website. And then also, my blog, my Gothic Celt blog at, Celtic Nations, magazine. And, then of course I did do a couple of, live stream like music concerts as well, too. So with a couple of my musician friends and everything. And I mean, I think like the good thing about all of this was it kind of forced you to get creative, and it kind of forced you to see what other avenues that you can, maybe open up to yourself that maybe you weren't looking at before.
We were so busy. We were getting so busy and getting booked ridiculously a lot to where we didn't have time to think.
Right.
And then you had all the time to think, and you're just like, oh my God, now I have so much time to think. And it did create a situation where you could become very very creative. And so, you know, my husband sat down and wrote like 4 songs. And then I sat down and wrote like 4 songs. And our Piper's writing songs, which is huge Piper community, because there's not a lot of new Piper music out there. And, you know, there's a lot of old Piper music, but there's not a lot of new Piper music. And so now this is starting to happen. And now I'm like, holy crap, we have enough that we could put 2 albums together right now. But we wanted time kind of thing, you know, so let's pick the best of these and then we'll go on from there. And so now we're working on a new album, and it's just like, okay, perfect. Now let's go from there and see where we go, you know. And I, as much as the pandemic was, it still is hard. It gave us time to create. And that was so invaluable. It was so invaluable. And, you know, and so now it's like, okay, but now that we're getting busier, it's like, okay, well, let's make sure that we put a priority on creating. And so now it's like, okay, well, I understand that whole thing. Let's get busy, but also let's make sure that we set aside the time to be creative. Set aside and make it intentional. You know, make sure that we don't lose the good things that we actually got out of this pandemic.
Because I totally, because pre shutdown, I was the same way. Like I was like super busy, just constantly going, like, you know, kind of like what you said. I barely had time to sit down and think. I was like guzzling tons of coffee and everything. And it was just kind of like, you know, even like my meditation app was like not being used as much like at around that time. And I think that's where a lot of people were like, pre-shutdown. Because I mean, like the music group, Wayward Companions that I'm with, I mean, you know, we were like getting booked, and then even with my own stuff and with like couple other musical acts that I do stuff with. And, you know, like I said, in my own, and also my own stuff, you know, like I was getting super busy there too, you know, plus I have like my whole fitness thing going on too. So, I mean, it was, you know, so I mean, I barely had time to sit down, like I was barely home, you know, and, you know, but then when that happened, like it's like, I do, like, it kind of forced me, to slow down. It forced me to slow down. It forced me to really take a look at, like, you know, and while I enjoyed everything that I was doing, it kind of forced me to take a look at, is it really that productive to be busy all the time? You know, am I really getting done the things that I want to do? Because I've been also wanting to write a new album, and I had fully intended on, you know, doing that and everything, but you know, but it's just kind of like, but it was just like, you know, trying to fit it in where, you know, with all my everything else I had going on. So it really, and I think now, like, you know, fast forward to like, you know, nearly 2 years later now at this point, I have a better sense of when I do need to slow down. And I used to think of slowing down as, oh, you're not being productive, you're not getting anything done. And I have a whole new perspective on that too, because you do need to recharge the batteries, you know. You do. And, you know, and I, like I said, I just have a completely different outlook on that. Like, I'm not afraid to, you know, just do little blocks of things and then take a break, you know, or take a full day off, you know, and it's just like, stuff's still getting done. And I find that when I do that, I actually am getting even more done. It's really weird, you know, that I was when I was like constantly going, you know. How about you?
And what I've started looking at is, okay, I need to give me time.
Right.
So for me, that means that I prioritize certain things.
Right.
So to be creative in my life, I have to be creative in all sorts of ways. So I paint, or I sit down and I make something with my hands, because that for me helps my brain start working. And then I've noticed, if I've done that, if I've painted a picture or I've created something with my hands, then that makes my creative brain start circulating. And then I can sit down and I can literally start writing a song. and it just comes out.
Yeah.
I can think about the things in my life that are happening while I'm painting, and then those words start happening. And if I have my phone or a pad of paper right next to me, I can just write down certain things and then do that, and then write down another thing and then do that, and then or just an idea or something, and then come back to that and not force myself, but set aside time to make myself think about it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've had to say, okay, these are my office hours, especially now doing the Celtic Rain Radio Show.
Yeah. I
have to set aside office hours. I have to say, okay, I'm not going to lunch with anybody.
Right.
I'm not going to go clean the house. I am going to leave, and I'm going to go sit at a little pub or something that I don't have to look at everything around me that I have to get done within my regular life. And I'm going to sit there, and I am going to intentionally have time to do this only, so that I can have time to edit the show, so that I can have time to prepare for the show, so that I can have time to create music. Yeah. And for me, with Gentle Rain, which is our jazz and blues band, we just started that. And I started learning bass, which is, I play Celtic drum like you do. Right. And then I sing because I have a degree in opera. And so it's like all these things. Okay, well, that's great. But at the same time, okay, now I'm like, dude, I've had this bass for 3 years. Why have I not learned this thing? Right. So now I have an intention. I've noticed that if I have a reason to do something, I will do it. Instead of just saying, I would like to do this. Right. Okay, well, that's great. But for me, I have to have an intention. Right. So, all right, well, I'm going to intentionally learn this because I'm playing this in my band. Right. So that means I got to do this because I'm setting up gigs for it. So I got to learn it. And so it gives me a reason. So I have to have a reason to do things. Yeah. And so for me, setting aside time for myself and saying, you know what, I just need to be in front of a canvas, watching a movie, writing stuff down. That's an intention for me to make sure that I stay creative and don't get too busy and spend time doing the things that make me happy as a person. Right. And make my mental health okay. Yes. That's big. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So no, because same thing with me. I actually built like a little home recording studio like over the time that, we were shut down, because I had all this, because I did have recording software. And, but of course, like I was like relying on recording studios and all of that and everything. But of course, that went out the window, when everything shut down. Absolutely. And I'm not saying I'm never going to use another recording studio again, because there are some things that I would rather, have like an actual engineer there for and everything. But what's nice about technology is like you can, and I was, when I had Regina she's called the Dark Eyed Musician on one of my last Tavern live streams. I've had her on twice. She's really cool. But like, but like she, when she did her Illumina album and everything, and all that. And it's funny because, well, she and her husband just moved, but originally her recording studio was like in the back of her washer dryer. And it's like, and it's like, you never would have known it, like, with the pictures. Cause, if you place, the cameras just right, you can make anything look like absolutely lovely, but like, absolutely. But now she has an actual room with all of her recording stuff. But like how she recorded her Illumina album, like she was working with Grimwater Music over in Finland, and like they would like even trade like files. So there's, there's that. There's also, and same in when I was wanting to record more stuff, and I was just like, what, I should just learn how to do this, because you never know. And also even with recording studios, like I don't know about your area, but in my area they're open again. Even with them being open,
you still have to kind of work around their schedule and try to configure, like just try to configure your schedule with theirs. And sometimes like that can just be a little bit too much of a hassle. So sometimes it's nice just to have a recording studio. You can just do it. If you want to send it to say somebody else to do the mixing, which is what I personally prefer. However,
that's actually what we do.
However, I don't mind learning how to do mixing myself either, because sometimes you never know when you might have to utilize it. But if I have the choice, I do prefer to send the mixing to somebody who's been doing it for a while.
Well, what I've learned with us, at least, we have an in-house recording studio.
Right.
That's a room, and we built the sound room and had a great time with it. It's in our garage, and and it's like, it's what it is. But you've been listening to your own self, hearing your own self over and over and over and over and over again. You can master it only so much.
Right.
And then you need somebody else's ears.
Exactly.
To hear it and go, this right here needs to change a little,
right.
And it saves a ridiculous amount of money to do it this way. But at the same time, oh my God, so much more money. But at the same time, if you have an engineer who is just ridiculous good, that you really respond to and trust, then you can do what you're going to do. Because that's what we're doing. We're recording ours in-house. And then I'm sending that as much as I have mixed it, and then I'll send it to him. And Eddie Prather is his name. And he is amazing. And I send it to him, and then he does it, and he says, okay, and I'll sit down with him, which is quite nice. And he says, you hear this? So then he's teaching me how to hear it.
Right.
Which is invaluable.
Yes.
Because that makes it so that then I can be like, yes. And then next time when I send him something else, it's even easier for him, because, and it takes him even less time, because he's taught me how to hear certain things. And then that process of mixing things, mastering it, I should say, is just, then it's just, that thing is magic. Like I sit there after, when he's mixed it, and it's one thing, and then he masters it, and it's completely different. And you're like, whoa. And so that process between that and that's why I'm like, I don't want to do this myself when it comes to the end part, because there's a difference between, oh my God, that's really good, and holy crap, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
yes,
it really is.
Absolutely.
It really is a difference. And you go, okay, I understand the value of this. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, let's save a lot of money and do all the pre-stuff, all the recording stuff in-house. That will save so much money.
Right.
And then I'll give it to you, and you go.
You work your magic,
I'll sit there, I'll learn, but I'm gonna leave it in the master's hands.
Right.
I'm just like, you've been doing this for 30 something years.
Totally, I understand you with that. Yeah, definitely. No, because I, and even, some of my engineer friends, it's like kind of like what you said. It's just like they will be like, okay, you hear this, like they kind of like teach you how to hear it, like how to hear it yourself, because because sometimes it's like, I don't know. See, it's kind of like sometimes like when like people are just listening to themselves, they think like, oh, everything they do is lovely, and they don't need to improve. But then you have it on the flip side too, where sometimes you're your own worst critic.
Yes.
And if you're just going to keep tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it into to the point to where you're never going to get it done, and that's also where I think having a producer or engineer is also invaluable too, because not only are they going to be like, okay, no, not everything you do is lovely, sorry, but when you're just like, no, I have to do this 50 million times because it's not good enough. Sometimes they are there to give you like kind of like that little bit of like a pep talk, I guess, and be like, okay, listen to this. Now really listen to this. Like, see how good that it, this is definitely the track. This is the take, so then you can be like, okay, I trust you. I trust your judgment, you know, because sometimes I can be overly critical of myself too, you know, because sometimes,
Oh yeah,
you know, I can
absolutely.
be my own worst critic. I think it's better to be that way than, oh, everything I do is wonderful and I don't need to improve, you know,
Yeah.
because at least, you know, the other way, you know, like being your own worst critic, at least then you can like recognize, okay, yeah, you're not going to be putting out like stuff that's not going to sound the best that you can sound. But yeah, but sometimes it's like, that's also great for like a producer to do, to just kind of like reel you in like that and be like, no, this track at this one take sounds really, really good. And this is the one that I think you should put out. And then you're just kind of like I said, okay, I trust your judgment. You know, what about you?
Mm-hmm. Well, that, and they get different sounds out of you.
Right.
So for instance, the last CD we created with Eddie, he's like, okay, I would like you to take all the vibrato out and sing it straight and see what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And for me, I have a lot of vibrato.
Me too, because we're opera singers.
We're opera singers.
Comes naturally.
Yeah. I want you to take all of it out. And you're like, okay, let's figure this out. And you know, and I was like, he goes, do it straight, and then do it the regular way. And then he was like, because I can put it back in.
Right.
You know, I can take these I and stick them together. And he's like, because I want that pure just sound like this. And I was like, okay, you know, now he's like, and I want you to decrease the volume by like 40%. And I'm like, all right. Cause you know, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to just hit this hard. And, you know, cause when you're an opera singer, you have all of this power. And, you know, I sing with other groups that have orchestras, and so you there's different styles.
Same
he's
here.
like, for this one, you know, try something for me. Just he's so cute, little hippie guy. Try something for me. And I'm like, okay. And if you're able to take to listen and to do what people ask you to do, he goes, even if it's a flop, at least you tried. You know, but who knows, maybe it's that one little diamond that you never thought.
Absolutely.
Never thought.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why having another ear is good. Because, you know, I'll send him and like, he'll be, so I want you to re-record this and try this. And I'm like, all right. Yeah. And there was one time we were in the studio for this last album, and I came in and I was like, I'm not feeling really great right now, but I'm just going to do this. And come to find out, I had like a fever.
Oh no.
But I was like not feeling great. And I was just like singing through the pain. And he goes, that was the best ever. And I'm like, well, obviously I just needed to not feel great. Because it made me
feel like total crud.
I felt like horrid crud. It was so bad, but I recorded like the best take ever. It was because I had so much emotion, because I couldn't hold it back. Right. Because I didn't feel good. So I was just like, you know, and I'm like putting all of my emotion into it. And he was like, that's the best thing I've ever heard out of your mouth. And I'm like, I guess I need a fever every time. Yeah. Poor guy. He's like, you need to go home now. I was like, thank you. And it was so funny. I mean, after now COVID, this was before COVID. Now COVID will be like, go home. But at the same time, you should probably not record sick, but I did, so I'm sorry. There you go. But no, I also had to, especially when I started doing kind of folkier stuff with like the Celtic realm. I had to kind of scale back my operatic vocals and you know, just learn how to sing, and, you know, just kind of sing it straight and everything. Because when you, and I'm sure you've had this too, it's like, you know, when you have opera training, you know, that's really naturally what you go to. And I have like a background in opera, musical theater, all of that, all of which, you know,
makes you like, you need to project, and then of course with projecting usually becomes like, comes the vibrato and everything.
Yep.
And I remember like when I was doing one of my first recordings ever, I had one producer tell me, "You do musical theater, right?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he goes, "Take your musical theater out of your voice." I was like, "What?" Because I was doing like Celtic rock, but or Celtic metal, and and he's like, "Take that musical theater out." I was like, "Okay." Yeah. So it took a little while, but I think once you master it, like, how to turn it on and off. Like when I sing, like with like, say, like more of like an orchestra, like I can turn on that more like operatic sound, when I'm doing like, say, more Celtic folk stuff with just me and like, say, somebody on like mandolin or guitar or something like that, I can pull out like my more kind of just kind of straight ethereal folky voice. And and then it's like when I do like Celtic metal, it's kind of like a little mishmash of the two, like a happy medium of the two. So so it's kind of like so do you find now that you've been doing it for a while, it's easier to like turn that on and off like when needed?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the difference in genres.
Yeah,
it is. And what I had to do,
right,
because I went to this one thing and this guy's teaching people how to have vibrato, and I'm like, okay. So I went up to him after and I said to him, well, how do you get rid of your vibrato? How do you take it out?
Right.
And he goes, how can you, and he goes, well, the difference, the vibrato, what it is just the difference between the two notes. He goes, so if you want to make it go faster, you just change the distance between the notes. So instead of going, and it sounds like a huge wave, right, you go, and it sounds like it's going faster, and it's closer together. So I started there, and then I thought, okay, well, to do that, after that, then I started realizing, okay, well, how I need to practice on how to stop it and start it and stop it and start it. And so I started doing these exercises where you'd go, and it is using those muscles that are right in here, right in there, to actually make things inside your mouth stop vibrating in a certain way and vibrate in a different way. And I'll do that. It's hilarious. I'm sitting in the car and I'll do those exercises constantly so that I can keep those muscles in check, so that when I want it there, it's there. And when I don't want it there, it's not there. Right. And that is literally, it's the muscles and I want to make sure that I'm staying on pitch at the same time and not going sharp or flat, when you're messing with those things, because vibrato is really nice. It can cover a lot of sins. And so, whereas when you're straight, there is nothing covering you, and so you have to be right on that note and make it pure. And so there's times when it's there. And what I've noticed is I'll put it at the end of a long phrase. So, da 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 da. Yeah. And just right at the end, just as an accent, and it's just that little accent there. And that works really well, I've noticed, with a lot of folk music. Because those longer notes, they're hold out, but then they need something at the end, kind of like, something that kind of gives it life at the end. Yeah. With dynamics and that, folk music with that tends to work. It tends to work really well. And so you listen to a lot of genres and you go, okay, this is where it is. That, and I'm a stickler for not dropping H's and diction and all these things. And so, but there's ways of also using genre for that makes it so that it's more within the genre. So, you're going to want to lean into things, but still be understood. Right. And so it really is a matter of just knowing the genre you're singing.
Exactly.
Just knowing what type of music. And still making it your own though, you know, because if I'm singing, no matter what genre I'm singing, no matter what kind of music I'm singing, if it's me, it's still going to be a certain way.
Of course. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And my voice, you'll pick me out. Yeah. Because that's me, you know, and it's okay.
Yeah. We all have our own unique sound, if you will, you know, and same thing. Like whether I'm singing, you know, more of like an acoustic Celtic folk type of song, or whether I'm doing more Celtic metal, or whether I'm doing like straight up classical. I mean, it's I might be using different styles of singing and like different ranges and everything, different parts of my voice. But it's still going to sound like people are still going to be able to pick me out because I, you know, like I said, everybody has their own unique sound, you know,
and especially like with musical theater, with musical theater, it's real spread.
It is.
And then you move that mouth in when you're with the classical, it's real but then you go to folk and it's real, you know, it's a lot more lazy in the mouth. And you have to, as a classical singer, you have to be like, okay, I have to be lazy in my mouth. I still need to be understood, but it can't go there, you know? And it needs to, or jazz is, oh my gosh. When I started singing jazz, it was just wonderful to learn how to scat. That was like the thing. I was like, if I'm going to do jazz, I'm going to learn how to scat. And it was so much fun because I went and took lessons, and this lady goes, okay, I want you to go get some Miles Davis, and I want you to listen to his horn, and I want you to say the syllables that he's saying. And I want you to like sing them. What syllables do you hear? And it was really interesting. And then I was like, okay, she's like, and your voice is very like Ella. So Ella Fitzgerald. So you go and just listen to this woman constantly,
you know?
Yeah. Right. And I was like, she's just listen to her. And I was like, okay, so now it's like I have Ella in the back of my mind, just saying, would I do this? How would I do this? How would I make this happen? You know, and listening to the things when she like forgets the words and just makes up things. And it's brilliant. And you're like, so gonna be her when I grow up. Just, you know, totally.
Yeah, we all want to be Ella Fitzgerald when we grow up. So
right, exactly. If I ever grow up. See, there you go. See, it's like I will be Ella when I grow up. So it's just those little things, those other little the things that you just put into your heart to make yourself who you are. Okay, you want to do this genre of music? Go research. Go listen to other people who are amazing in it and put them in your heart. Right. Make them a part of your life. Just make them a part of your life. Yeah. It has to happen.
Well,
and then take that music and make it yours.
It's interesting that you mentioned jazz because there's I'm writing a song for this one film and they want it to sound more like, it's still kind of dark, but like still like a very kind of slow, old timey jazz type of thing. So I mean, I've sung a little bit of jazz before, but not a ton, not as much as I've had, you know, like opera, rock, all of that. So I'm kind of having to like, you know, tap into that, you know, just kind of go back and listen to some old jazz recordings and everything, and not necessarily try to imitate it, but just to kind of get that feel, like get that going in my vocals and everything. And
well, it has a specific way of moving.
Yes.
You know, it has that it has a certain way of feeling. The beat goes in a different place. You know, it pushes a lot more, you know, so you have that push that happens, you know, and you know, like summertime, and the living is easy. You know, you go there and you have to have that you know, it's got that push that is is within a certain culture that doesn't always happen in the culture you grow up in.
Right.
So you have to feel that. Yeah. And if you don't have it, you need to go and figure it out, you know, if you're going to do that kind of music.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, with, as you know, I think we're both Renaissance women, basically, but with as multifaceted as you are, like, if you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Jeez. Oh, good Lord. That is a hard question. Let's see. If I had described myself in one word,
or
it would
words.
probably be, or 2 words. Okay, whatever. It would probably be persistent.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
I don't ever give up.
Right.
Yeah. And I might get it wrong, but I'll persist.
But you'll persist.
And I'll figure out how to get it right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, I think like everything's figure outable in the end.
Yes.
You know,
you just have
even
to
if you have to like
to
do some like guerrilla moves and everything to get it done, you know, I mean, everything is figure outable. I definitely agree.
It was kind of funny in seminary. I got an award that they created just for me when I was graduating, and it had some fancy name, but it pretty much was it was the award for being persistent, for never giving up, because I have learning disabilities, so I have dyslexia and learning disabilities in languages, and I took the Greek and the Hebrew and I took 1 extra year in seminary because I was at the professor's door every single, okay, tell me what this means. I need a question. I have questions. I was always the one who asked questions. I was right there all the time. And they were like, you know what? If anybody could have given up, it would have been you, but you finished and you persisted. And they created this on my wall for persistence. And I thought, now that is freaking hilarious.
That's awesome.
So definitely persistence.
Yes. Good. Awesome. So, is there anything that you're currently working on right now? Because I know you got a bunch of things going on, but what are you currently, like, what are some things that you have in the works?
Well, at this moment, right now, we are working on this new album, and we're mainly in the writing process because we're once I write a song, I write the words and the melody, and then I take it to the guys and I say, okay, let's do the instrumental now, you know, and then I literally have to walk away because they are a different animal and they write so much different than I do. And I literally just give them the words and the melody, and then I give it to them, and then I walk away, and then I'll go write something else or do whatever. And then they put their 2 cents in and put all of the instrumental part in there. And my husband will start thinking about, like, you know, how the little licks that are going to go in with the guitar and so on and so forth. And then we'll come back together and they'll show me what they have. And if it's my song, then I'm like, okay, I like this, I don't like this, let's change this. And we have to be able to listen to each other and not get our feelings hurt, and go from there. So right now we're kind of in the process of doing that. And so the album that we're going to be writing is going to be called Legacy. And so we're trying to look at the legacy of who we are. So it's going to be Celtic, but it's also going to be other stuff, which is beautiful because I'm not just Celtic. I'm Native American and Cherokee. And I also very much, you know, have that within me. And so I wrote a song called The Lamb Remembers All that has a Cherokee lullaby that it starts with, that is, it's an open domain Cherokee lullaby, and it's going to end with that as well. And then within that, between is reminding us that the land, the land doesn't belong to us, we belong to the land. And so it was one of these things, you know. And then on top of that, then I have that Welsh understanding. So I've been looking up, there's a Welsh lullaby that I found that I want to do and make it our own, you know. And so that for me is very, those two things together are very much my legacy.
Right.
Whereas our piper, he's Jewish.
Oh, okay.
He's our Jewish piper, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And so he's bringing in his Jewish, there's some Jewish tunes that we're putting to our without us, and then we're putting it to pipes. And so, which is brilliantly beautiful, actually. I'm sure. And so it's going to have very different feels on this record, because it's like, okay, you go from Celtic to that Jewish tradition and that Middle Eastern sound to that Native American sound. And I got this. So this is one of the things okay, so I purchased it in pieces and because it was a whole heck of a lot cheaper. And thank God our piper is a woodworker, because I was like, I got it. I was like, there's no way I can put this thing together. So I literally handed it to him in pieces, and he gave me back the flute. So this is that's a Native American flute. And so now I'm trying to learn this stinking thing, because I have an intention. I have a reason now for this song, for the Land Remembers All. And I'm just like, okay, I want to play this in the song a little bit here and there, and we'll go from there. And then there's a part of ourself as well is the people that we love. That's also our legacy, of course. And so there are some love songs that I've written that have come out of this time period, and so those will go in there as well. And then Samuel has some that are one that's called Dark Rain, and it has a very bluesy sound. And so those are the things we're really working on. So then he takes his stuff and then brings it to me, and then we sit down together, because that works better that way. But and I can say, okay, I'm going to put this in there. Let's do some harmonies here. What do you think of this? And you just kind of smush them together. And I think the best thing that I've ever learned in my life, I love writing music by myself, but at the same time, the best feeling in the world is collaborating with people. Because you get to have the strengths of everybody go in together. And if you can listen to each other and grow from it, the product that comes out is ridiculous. And I think that's like my favorite thing in the world is just creating with other people. And so that's what we're working on right now. I hope to have that out this March coming up. So that's kind of what we're working on, is getting it out by St. Patrick's Day, so that we'll have it for St. Patrick's Day. That would be amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Definitely. Yeah, that would be amazing. We're also working on getting more gigs and doing that, but we're working on our Gentle Rain which is our jazz and blues group, and just really getting that one out there as well. Musically, that's where those are going on, but at the same time, I do have the Celtic Rain Radio Show, and so with that that has been growing like wildfire. So I'm trying to make sure that that's something that might sustain my music. That might pay for us to be able to be musicians. Awesome. I love it. So for that is something that I have to nurture. I have to bring into the situation and be like, okay, I have to have office hours for this. I have to make sure that I am sending things out, that the show is being edited for TV and for radio, and that it's ready, and it can go out on a regular basis. And then going and finding those people that want it in their life and in their stations, and making those connections. And that's a huge thing, is making those connections. Because it really is who you know. It really is. And being able to sit down with people, obviously as much as you can, and get to know them as people. Let them, because I think it's time for us as a community, as artists, to stop competing against each other. I agree. And start working with each other. I think it's just time. This whole thing, I'm going to get the gig and not you. Sure. Okay, go. But at the same time, I just think it's done. I think COVID changed a lot of things. And this is one of them. I hope this is one of them. Yeah.
I think that whole competitiveness thing needs to go.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Because at the end, it's not really helping,
No.
and, if you get that, that reputation of somebody who's like difficult to work with, or somebody who's just going to take from other artists, like, oh, hey, support our music and blah, blah, blah. And then they're not going to like check yours out or anything like that. Yeah. That's just, that's like an immediate turn off,
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's not. And so it was so cute. I had, I have all these people that I play, it's so adorable. So I get people who love the show, and then I get the artists that send me like stuff.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it.
Isn't that the cutest shirt in the whole world? I morph it a little just because I'm not a t-shirt person. So I'm like, gonna I don't know, like make fringe on the bottom or something. I don't know, I'm gonna have fun with it. But this is just so adorable. And it was one of my artists that I play all the time. And I'm like, okay, this is the cute. He was like, send me your address. And I'm like, okay, fine. And totally sent me a shirt. And I'm like, oh, that's so adorable. But this is the thing, like, if we make these connections, then then we could be like, isn't this awesome? This guy is great. Exactly. Go check out his stuff. And that's another reason I started the Celtic Rain Radio Show. And then I started the Celtic Rain Radio Show group on Facebook. And that has like almost 800 people in it right now. Yeah. Just over, that was 6 months ago. Yeah. And it was just like, this is crazy. So it's a place where a lot of these groups are like, you can't put on there when you're going to be performing, you can't publicize, you can't And I'm like, okay, this group is all about that. Right. Come. Yeah. I want people to be able to talk to the musicians and ask them questions without the show happening at the same time. Right. I want you to be able to put up, oh my gosh, we have a new album coming out. Go check it out. We have a show tomorrow night. Go check it out. Right. That's what this is for, so that we can start promoting each other. Right. And so go, if you can, go out there, go to the Celtic Rain Radio Show group on Facebook, find it, be a part of that. If you want to find the Celtic Rain Radio Show and you just want to watch it, you can actually go to YouTube /C for channel /Celtic Rain, like rain out of the sky. And it's on there. You can go to the playlists, and there's a Celtic Rain Radio Show playlist that has all of them, including Tiffany's, actually. The one I did with her. But so that's kind of where that right now. So on Tuesday nights, I record it live, and then it goes all over the place, and people watch it all the time. And so that's kind of where that is. It's really nice though on Tuesday nights to be able to record it live. Yeah. Because people come in and they ask questions and they comment, and I can put their stuff up there, and the people that are watching can be part of the show as well, which is what I really love. Had a gentleman on the other night who was just the sweetest soul you've ever met in your life, but he does like this crazy thrash metal. He was just so sweet, but he's like this juxtaposition to the music that he's playing. And you're sitting there like, okay, you are adorable, you know? And all these people are like, oh my God, you need to come to Indy. You need to come and be here. Now, he's totally in Great Britain. He's not even here. Poor guy stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the morning talking to me. It was so funny. These people are like, if you come to America, we will and they actually had one of the guys who was watching, who was also another musician that I was playing on the show. He goes, I have a venue and I want you to come and play at it. There you go. And that's the kind of thing that I'm like, dude, that's what I wanted from this show. Yes. I wanted to be able to put people's music out there and connect people with people and make things happen. Absolutely. And let things just grow for everybody. Yeah. And it's been one of those things that I always wanted to try, and I didn't know if it would work. And now that I've just done it, I will never stop doing. And it will be a part of who I am forever. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it was so funny to listen to my kid the other day. He's on his VR playing, and he's like, He's like, yeah, my mom does this show on YouTube, and yeah, she plays all these crazy people's music, and it's pretty amazing. And he's like, you should go check it out. And I'm like, my kid's in there on VR talking to somebody on God only knows where.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy to think about, but we can pass that understanding down to the next generation.
Yeah.
And then what if
Absolutely.
no longer are we competing against each other, but pushing each other forward?
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I do think that so many artists like miss the mark on that. It's just like, you know, like I said, because like when you're all about yourself and, you know, people can pick up on that too. Like when you're just all about yourself, you're not like, you know, looking to really, you know, help, you know, like, you know, really make a connection with like with other artists and everything, so that, you know, yeah, maybe you guys can do like a collaborative effort, whether it's, you know, cross promotion of each other's stuff, or, you know, say if someone has like a podcast or like a radio show, you know, I mean,
yeah,
Facebook group, you know, like, hey, this is somebody similar, check them out. You know, I do think a lot of artists miss the mark because I think they're still stuck in the days of, oh, the celebrity mystique and everything. And it's just kind of like, sorry, those days are done. You know,
they are.
It's like
the internet
those days
changed
are done. There's no such thing as that anymore. And I think a lot of artists though still kind of are in that mindset. And, you know, and it's just kind of like it's more of like an egocentric thing as opposed to, you know, like I said, like that just, you know, that might have been fine, you know, even just 10 years ago or something, that might have been okay, might have worked for you, but it doesn't work anymore, you know. And yeah, so but I think it's really cool what you're doing with Celtic Rain Radio, and I definitely enjoyed being on when I was. So as far as your other projects go, where can people go to find those?
Okay, so obviously the YouTube channel is a dual channel.
Okay.
So you can find the Celtic Rain Radio Show there. There's playlists, so you can find there, but you can also find Celtic Rain stuff there as well. There's Facebook pages for Celtic Rain. Is Celtic Rain now, because there's another, we had a situation where our page got taken over by a Chinese guy and he stole all of our stuff, so I had to start it all over again. Okay. It was really ridiculous. Anyway, so it's Celtic Rain now if you want to go to Facebook. And Gentle Rain is Jazz and Blues is also on Facebook. But if you want to go and check out all the music, really, we're on Spotify, but also Reverb Nation is a huge one. And we're actually I'm actually setting up a Bandcamp for both groups as well. So you can go to but right now reverbnation.com/Celtic Rain or /Gentle Rain Jazz and Blues. That both Reverb Nation, both pages. With that one, you can listen to music, you can download music. It's really, really awesome site. And then I will be setting up Bandcamps for both of those groups as well. Our Ren Fair group, which is the Lute and the Lady, it's kind of an interesting, cute little group where we do it about 3 months out of the year, which we do it because we love having fun and dressing up in Ren Fair stuff. But you know, it's fun stuff. And it is. So, but Samuel is he plays the lute and I play the Celtic drum and sing, and he sings. But our act is more of he's a absent-minded musician who can't seem to die, and I'm a black widow who can't seem to kill her husband. And so we do it's a very Addams Family-ish kind of situation. We do a lot of Tom Lear songs and mixed with Celtic, mixed with other things. And we have a whole act. It's so funny. Now I understand some people can't eat peanuts, so there you go. But if you know anything about Tom Lear, and if you're a Tom Lear person, you know Tom Lear, there's a song called Poisoning Pigeons in the Park where it talks about lacing peanuts with cyanide and killing birds. Anyways, and it's really adorable, actually. So I walk around while we're not performing, I walk around and hand people peanuts and ask them to come to our show. And when they get there, I'm like, who ate my peanuts? And then let me sing you a song. And they're like, oh my God, where they play. And so we get the kids, we have like a basket of instruments, never blow instruments, just always shaky ones.
Right.
And we get them up there, and the kids are up there playing instruments, and we're singing about death and dismemberment and love and dismemberment. And it's the parents are dying laughing, and the kids have no freaking clue what we're talking about.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
No, we had this one mom, this poor kid, he was like 12, something like that. You could tell he was kind of angsty, and his mom's like, sit down and learn something. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if you want me to teach. I have a song about this girl who kills her whole family.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's very cute and sweet, but at the same time, you're like, holy crap. And she's like, no, he needs a sense of humor. And I'm like, got it.
Oh goodness.
We'll figure this out. It was so freaking funny. And so at the very end, we've done all these songs, and there you go. And I take the cutest, smallest little kid you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'll take it around. I'm like, if you would like this child to live, tip us. Oh. And inevitably, when I get to the parents, they're always like, let me think about this for a minute. like they don't know. It's like they stop for a minute to think if they're gonna tip. And I'm like, dude, it's your kid. Put some money in the bag.
Yeah, of course.
So funny. So funny. But then we wander around and do lanes and kind of, I have that basket. So the kids come and play, and we do a lot. We don't do that act when we're just, that's our stage act. So we'll do a lot of actual Renaissance music, and, all the pretty stuff on the lanes, but it's really kind of funny, and then get the kids involved. And because if you get kids involved, the parents are going to give you money. So that's just the way it is.
Of course.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And so, but we do that about 3 months out of the year, just for fun.
Yeah.
Because, dude, we get in Ren fairs for free, and you get paid for it. And just, it's great. And we're kind of, all Ren fair people are circus people that left the circus and started Ren fairs. That's who we are. We're circus people. And circuses aren't around anymore. Therefore, here have the Ren fairs. And so so that one, you can find us on Facebook and Reverb Nation as well.
Okay, yeah.
Under the Lute and the Lady. Yeah, or the Lute the Lady. But yeah, so depending on the site. But those are really where you can find most everything. Celtic Rain is on Spotify.
Okay.
We're working on getting together the jazz group enough to where then we'll be recording as well. Recording a jazz CD and putting that obviously on Spotify and everything else you can get things on. Yeah, so that's kind of where you can find things, where you can find us. We play the 4th Saturday of the month if you're in Indianapolis, over at Primeval in Noblesville, the 4th Saturday of the month. Now, tonight we're playing there instead of the 4th Saturday, because the 4th Saturday is Christmas, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm having
I don't blame you.
But that's our normal gig. So what I try to do is put us have at least 2 normal gigs that are like on different sides of the city,
right?
So that people can actually decide where to go. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't have to travel that much. But once festival season starts, we'll start festivals back.
Of course.
Across every finger you have. Yeah. And hopefully I would love to get out to Pittsburgh and do you guys' festival. That would be so much fun.
That would be awesome.
That would be so much fun. I know.
That would be great. So
I know.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for spending this hour here. I know you have to go get ready for a gig and everything. So so thanks very much for, just for sitting down with me and talking. And it was a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, I agree. This will be a great time. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. And yes, thank you for watching. And yes, we'll catch you next time. All right. Have a lovely rest of your day. And I'll just get my water bottle. Cheers.